I refused to let my freeloading brother move into my new house after he gambled away his savings. My mom threatened to cut me from her will if I didn't help him, so I told her to go ahead. I, 32M, have always been the responsible one in my family. Since I was young, I've worked hard, saved money, and made smart decisions. My brother Jake, 29M, on the other hand, has always been the wild child. He's charming and fun, but he's never been able to hold down a job or manage his finances. Our parents, especially our mom, have always favored Jake. They've bailed him out of countless situations, paid his rent when he couldn't, and even bought him a car after he totaled his last one driving drunk. Meanwhile, I put myself through college, worked multiple jobs, and saved every penny I could. Last year, all my hard work finally paid off. I bought my dream house, a beautiful 3-bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood. It's not huge, but it's mine, and I'm incredibly proud of it. I've spent the past year fixing it up, making it perfect. About a month ago, Jake called me out of the blue. He was in tears, saying he'd made a huge mistake. Apparently, he'd gotten into online gambling and had blown through all his savings. Not only that, but he'd taken out loans he couldn't repay. He was facing eviction from his apartment and said he had nowhere to go. "Bro, I know I've messed up," he sobbed. "But I'm really trying to turn my life around. I just need a place to stay for a while until I can get back on my feet. Can I crash at your place?" I'll admit, part of me wanted to help. He's still my brother, after all. But a bigger part of me knew this was just another in a long line of Jake's screw-ups. I took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, Jake, but no. I can't let you move in with me." He was shocked. "What? Why not? You've got that big house all to yourself." I explained that it wasn't about the space. It was about boundaries and consequences. "Jake, you're almost 30. You need to learn to take responsibility for your actions. I can't keep bailing you out." He got angry then, accusing me of being selfish and not caring about family. He hung up on me, and I figured that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The next day, my mom called. She was furious. "How dare you turn your back on your brother when he needs you," she yelled. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" I was confused. "Everything you've done for me? Mom, I've worked for everything I have. You and Dad have barely helped me at all since I turned 18. "That's because you didn't need our help," she shot back. "Jake is different. He's sensitive. He needs more support." We argued back and forth for a while. I tried to explain that constantly rescuing Jake wasn't helping him in the long run, but she wouldn't hear it. Finally, she played her trump card. "Listen to me," she said, her voice cold. "If you don't let Jake move in with you, I'm cutting you out of my will. Everything will go to him." I was stunned into silence for a moment. Then, surprising even myself, I started to laugh. "Go ahead," I said. "Cut me out. I don't need your money, Mom. I've made it this far on my own, and I'll keep doing just fine." She gasped, clearly not expecting that response. "You ungrateful brat. After everything we've sacrificed for you." "What sacrifices, Mom?" I asked, my voice rising. "Name one thing you've sacrificed for me that you haven't done tenfold for Jake." She sputtered, unable to come up with an answer. Finally, she said, "Fine. If that's how you want it, you're no longer part of this family." Then she hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling a mix of emotions. Part of me was sad and angry, but another part felt relieved. Like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Over the next few weeks, my phone blew up with messages from relatives. Some supported me, saying it was about time someone stood up to Jake's behavior. Others called me selfish and cruel. Jake himself sent me a long, rambling message about how I'd ruined his life and how he might end up on the streets because of me. I'll admit, there were moments when I second-guessed my decision. But then I'd look around at my house, at everything I'd worked so hard for, and I knew I'd made the right choice. About a month after the blow-up, I got a surprising visitor, my dad. He showed up at my door looking tired and older than I remembered. "Can we talk?" he asked. I let him in, and we sat in my living room. For a while, neither of us said anything. Then he sighed deeply. "Your mother doesn't know I'm here," he said. "She'd be furious if she knew." I nodded, waiting for him to continue. "I want you to know. I think you did the right thing," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I was shocked. "Really?" He nodded. "We failed Jake. We failed both of you, really. We thought we were helping him, but we've just enabled him to keep making the same mistakes over and over." Tears welled up in his eyes. I'm sorry, son. We should have been there for you more. We should have recognized how hard you were working. I felt my own eyes start to water. Thanks, Dad. That means a lot. We talked for hours that day. He told me that Jake had moved back home, and that my mom was trying to get a second mortgage on their house to pay off his gambling debts. Dad was against it, but he felt powerless to stop it. I don't know what to do, he admitted. I love your brother, but I'm scared he's going to drag us all down with him. I took a deep breath. I might have an idea, I said. But it's not going to be easy, and Mom is going to hate it. My dad looked at me, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. I'm listening. Over the next few weeks, my dad and I put together a plan. We reached out to a financial advisor and a therapist who specialized in gambling addiction. We found a halfway house that helps people get back on their feet while maintaining strict rules and accountability. Then came the hard part, convincing Jake and my mom. It took a lot of arguing, tears, and even a few slammed doors, but eventually, we got them to agree to a family meeting. Jake was sullen and defensive at first, while Mom kept shooting me dirty looks. I laid out our plan. Jake would move into the halfway house. He'd attend therapy sessions and Gamblers Anonymous meetings. He'd get a job, any job, and start paying back his debts. Mom and Dad would not give him any more money, but they'd offer emotional support. And what about you? Jake spat. You're just going to sit in your big house and judge us? I took a deep breath. No, Jake. I'm going to help too. If you stick to the program for 6 months, no gambling, no asking for money, holding down a job, I'll match whatever you save dollar for dollar. The room went silent. Jake looked at me suspiciously. Why would you do that? I thought you didn't care about family. I do care, I said softly. But caring doesn't always mean giving someone what they want. Sometimes it means giving them what they need. It wasn't an easy sell. Mom argued that Jake needed to be at home, where she could take care of him. Jake insisted he could handle things on his own if we just give him some cash to get started. But slowly, with Dad backing me up, we got them to see reason. That was 3 months ago. It hasn't been smooth sailing. Jake has slipped up a couple times, asking Mom for money, which, to her credit, she refused. He lost his first job after 2 weeks. But he's still in the program. He's attending his meetings. And last week, he celebrated 30 days at his new job. Mom is still cool towards me, but she's coming around. She called me last week to tell me that Jake had bought groceries for the house with his own money. She sounded proud, and a little surprised. As for me, I'm still in my house. Still working hard. Still saving money. But now, I'm saving a little extra, hoping that in 3 months, I'll be writing a big check to help my brother start his new life. It's not the happily ever after ending I might have hoped for as a kid. Our family is still fractured in many ways. But for the first time in years, I feel hopeful. Not just for myself, but for all of us. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe Jake will relapse. Maybe Mom will never fully forgive me for standing up to her. Maybe Dad will cave under the pressure and go back to enabling Jake's behavior. But I do know this, I made the right choice. I stood my ground, set boundaries, and offered help in a way that could actually make a difference. And no matter what happens, I can look at myself in the mirror each morning and know that I did the best I could for myself and for my family. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to let my brother move in, even if it meant being cut out of my mom's will? Maybe in some people's eyes. But in my heart, I know I did the right thing. And that's worth more than any inheritance. Edit 1. Wow, I didn't expect this post to blow up like it has. Thank you all for your support and advice. I've been reading through the comments, there are so many, and I wanted to address a few common questions/points. 1. Many of you have asked about my dad's role in all this. He's always been more of a background figure in our family dynamic. He works long hours and often lets my mom take the lead on family matters. I think he knew things weren't right with how we were treating Jake, but he felt powerless to change it. Our recent conversations have been a big step forward for our relationship. 2. Some have suggested that I'm being too generous with my offer to match Jake's savings. I understand the concern, but I've set strict conditions on this offer. The money will go directly into a secured account that can only be used for specific purposes, education, starting a small business, etc. It's not just free cash for him to blow. 3. A few people have asked if I have my own family/partner. I don't, currently. I've been so focused on my career and saving for my house that I haven't prioritized relationships. It's something I'm working on, though. 4. To those suggesting I go no contact with my family, I appreciate the advice, but that's not what I want. Despite everything, I love my family. I'm trying to find a balance between maintaining boundaries and still being there for them. 5. Regarding my mom's will, honestly, I don't know how much it would even be worth. I suspect a lot of their savings have gone to bailing Jake out over the years. But regardless, as I said, I'm not doing this for any potential inheritance. Again, thank you all for your support. It means more than you know. Edit 2. It's been about a week since my original post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to give you all an update. First, Jake found out about this post. One of his friends saw it and recognized the story. He was initially furious, feeling that I had aired our family's dirty laundry for internet points. We had a long, heated phone call about it. But something unexpected happened during that call. As Jake vented his anger, he also started to open up in a way he never had before. He talked about feeling like a failure, about the rush he got from gambling, about how he felt he could never live up to my example. For the first time, I think I really understood how much pain he's been in. It doesn't excuse his behavior, but it helped me see him as a whole person, not just the screw-up little brother. By the end of the call, we were both in tears. Jake admitted that he was grateful for the chance I'd given him with the halfway house and savings match. He said he was actually starting to feel proud of himself for the first time in years. As for my parents, things are still complicated. Mom read the post too, Jake sent it to her, and she was hurt by how I portrayed her. But it also seemed to open her eyes a bit. She called me yesterday and, for the first time I can remember, she apologized. Not for everything, but for making me feel less valued than Jake. It's a start. Dad and I have been talking more regularly. He's been going to Al-Anon meetings, for families of addicts, and says it's helping him understand his role in our family dynamic better. I know we have a long road ahead of us. Years of dysfunction don't get fixed overnight. But I feel cautiously optimistic. This whole experience, the confrontation, the Reddit post, the conversations it sparked, feels like a turning point for our family. To everyone who shared their own stories in the comments, thank you. It helps to know we're not alone in dealing with these complex family issues. And to those who offered advice and support, please know that it made a difference. You helped give me the strength to stand firm in my decisions while also opening my heart to forgiveness and understanding. I don't know what the future holds for my family, but I do know this: we're talking. Really talking. And that's more progress than we've made in years. Thank you, Reddit. You've been a part of this journey too. Final edit: it's been about 6 months since my original post, and since many of you have asked for an update, here it is. The journey hasn't been easy, but we've made progress, more than I ever thought possible. Jake completed his 6 months at the halfway house. He's had a few close calls with gambling, but he's managed to stay clean. He's still at the job he started 3 months ago, and his boss recently gave him a small raise. Last week, he called me excitedly to tell me he'd paid off one of his smaller debts completely. The pride in his voice was something I'd never heard before. True to my word, I matched his savings dollar for dollar. We put the money into a secured account, as planned. Jake has decided he wants to use it to take some classes at the local community college. He's thinking about becoming a counselor for other addicts. It's early days, but seeing him excited about a future is, well, it's pretty amazing. Mom and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship. We've started seeing a family therapist together, which has been challenging but helpful. She's beginning to understand how her behavior affected both Jake and me, in different ways. Last month, she actually stood up to Jake when he asked for money, redirecting him to his GA sponsor instead. It was a small moment, but a significant one. Dad has become more involved in family decisions. He and Mom are working on their communication, and he's taking a more active role in supporting Jake's recovery without enabling him. He and I have been going fishing together, something we haven't done since I was a teenager. It's been nice to reconnect. As for me, all of this family drama made me realize I had been using work as an excuse to avoid building my own life. I've started dating someone. It's new, but it's going well. I'm also looking into volunteering with a local organization that helps underprivileged kids learn about personal finance. If I can help even one kid avoid the mistakes my family made, it'll be worth it. Our family is far from perfect. We still have disagreements, and there are still hurt feelings to work through. Jake's recovery is ongoing, and we know there may be setbacks. Mom still sometimes slips into her old patterns. But we're all trying, and that's more than I could have said a year ago. To the Reddit community, your support, advice, and shared experiences have been an invaluable part of this journey. You helped me stand firm when I needed to, and you encouraged me to open my heart when it was time. For that, I am deeply grateful. If there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that change is possible, but it's rarely easy or straightforward. It takes courage to set boundaries, compassion to offer second chances, and wisdom to know the difference. To anyone out there dealing with family addiction, dysfunction, or just plain difficult relationships, don't give up hope. Change is possible. It might not look the way you expect, and it might not happen as quickly as you want, but it is possible. Thank you all, once again, for being a part of this story. I may not post updates anymore, but know that your impact on my family's life will continue to ripple outward. You've made a real difference, and for that, I am forever grateful.